welcome to Miss Teresa time. I'm Miss Teresa, and today we are going to learn all about a letter. And today's letter is the letter I. This one is a capital I, and it has a hat and a bottom with a line connecting them. And this I is what we call a lowercase I, and it is a line with a dot over it. And the letter I has a couple of different sounds and is a great helper. The first sound the I makes is its own name, I. Can you say that? I. The other sound that the I makes is I. Can you say that? I. Good job. Now, let's see. Can you think of anything that begins with the letter I? Let's see what we have. What begins with the letter I? Igloo begins with the letter I. And here is our igloo all lit up at nighttime. An igloo is made of ice. And there it is. What else begins with the letter I? Something one of our stories is about today. Ink. Ink begins with the letter I. So here we have ink in a bottle and ink splatters. What else begins with the letter I? One of Miss Teresa's favorite things to eat. It's a very yummy treat. It is, ice cream. Ice cream begins with the letter I. I for ice cream. Why don't we read some stories about the letter I too? Our first story is all about not ice cream, but ink. Ink with I. So let's read Ike's Incredible Ink together. Ike's Incredible Ink by Brianne Farley. Ike wanted to write a story, an incredible story. He had read many incredible stories, and he felt sure he could write one of his own. He was ready to start. There's Ike. He has his pen and his paper, and let's see what sort of a story he's going to write. So he was ready to start, but what should he write about? Uh-oh, look at Ike. He looks a little frustrated. I don't think he knows what to write about. Well, maybe he needed to find his favorite pen or have a long chat with his best friend. And a bit of cleaning was also in order. But even then, something was wrong. Something was missing. Said Ike. Maybe I need new ink. That's it, said Ike. This book and this comic and this book over here and this map are all printed with ink. Their very own ink. I need my own ink. Where is Ike going to get his ink? Let's find out. First, Ike said, I need the right ingredients. He looked around the room. Shadows, he thought, are like ink. They are shady and shifty and mysterious. He took a shadow out and put it in his bag. There's Ike. He has a shadow and he's putting it in his big bag. Next, Ike looked outside. Booga bird feathers, he thought, are floaty and soft like ink. So he gave the booga birds their favorite treats. It looks like French fries to me. Took a few feathers and stuffed them into his big bag. Do you remember what else does Ike have in that big bag? A shadow, right. So he has a shadow and booga bird feathers in that big bag. Ike looked at the sky. The dark side of the moon, he thought, is black like ink. It's velvety and pretty and round like a drop of ink. So he decided to go there. He would, of course, need a rocket ship. So he doodled and measured and lugged and planned. There's Ike hard at work, making a rocket ship. It's hard to say what he found on the dark side of the moon because he didn't bring a flashlight. But whatever he found went in that big bag. So let's see, what does Ike have in his bag? He has a shadow, booga bird feathers, and something from the moon. Finally, he said, I have everything I need. Look at that big bag that Ike has. Looks like it might be a little heavy. Ike set to work. He mashed, he bludgeoned, he crushed, and he steamed. Look at Ike. It looks like he's stepping on something, squishing it all up. And there's lots of smoke coming out. What has Ike made? Woo! He was definitely messy. Yikes! Look at that blender. What do you see? Ink, right. Ink everywhere. Ike bottled up his ink. It looked pretty good. What a mess he made, but he got his ink. So he sat back down at his desk and he started to write an incredible story. And if we look at those pictures, I see French fries and booga birds, and I see Ike and maps and rocket ships and the moon. I think that maybe Ike is writing a story about how he made his ink. But Ike's story is one we have to save for another time, because that is the end of our story. What a great job Ike did. He had a problem and he figured out how to solve it. So let's see. We have one more story, and this next story is going to lead us right into our DIY corner. And our next story is about Miss Teresa's favorite treat, which is ice cream. It's also about one of Miss Teresa's favorite storybook characters, Curious George. I just love Curious George. He sometimes gets himself in trouble, but he always finds a way to make everything okay. So let's read Curious George Goes to an Ice Cream Shop together. Curious George Goes to an Ice Cream Shop by Margaret Ray. George and his friend were cleaning the house. "We've worked hard today," said the man. "Let's treat ourselves to some ice cream." There they are sweeping up. "Look, George, there's a new ice cream place in town," said the man with the yellow hat. "Let's give it a try." "We've come to try your ice cream," said the man to the owner. "Oh, I'm glad someone has," said Mr. Herb. "Come on in. I just opened the place and no one knows I'm here yet." Oh, look at all the ice cream. "Well, I'll have a strawberry cone," said the man with the yellow hat. Mr. Herb dipped out a scoop of strawberry. George was curious. Could he scoop ice cream too? Uh-oh, what do you think? Will George be able to scoop ice cream? Should George be scooping ice cream? Let's see. "I have some errands to do, George," said the man. "Stay here until I come back. You can have some ice cream, but don't get into trouble." "Take your time deciding, George," said Mr. Herb. "I'll start on a special order I have to fill." So there's Mr. Herb. Looks like he has a couple of different types of ice cream. And there's George looking at all the flavors. And George couldn't make up his mind. There were so many flavors to choose from. Mr. Herb was busy filling a bowl with ice cream. This is my first big order. It's for a party and it has to be just right. Just then, the phone rang. That might be another order, said Mr. Herb, and he went to answer it. The next thing you know, George had climbed onto the counter and picked up the scoop. Uh-oh. What do you think George is going to do? Yeah, I think George is going to start scooping ice cream too. He dipped that scoop into the banana ice cream and put it into the bowl. Then he dug into the strawberry, the nutty walnut, the raspberry, and the chocolate. Soon there was a mountain of ice cream in the bowl. George was just about to put vanilla on top of peppermint when, George! Mr. Herb yelled. That's not what my customer ordered. Now I have to start all over again, he said. Get away from here. Mr. Herb was angry. George was scared. He ran over to the other counter in front of the window. Uh-oh, now George is where everybody can see him. Let's see what he has found. There were jars of cherries, nuts, coconut, whipped cream, and all kinds of sauces. There was even a bowl of bananas. What is George's favorite food? Bananas. George put some bananas in a dish. Then he added raspberries, chocolate chips, and whipped cream. George was getting hungry. Suddenly, there was a tapping on the window. George turned around. Outside, there was a crowd watching. Get everyone in the window. Let's see if they come in for ice cream. Add some nuts, George, called a boy. Try the sprinkles, said a girl. Don't forget the cherry on top. How could George forget the cherry? Wow, look at George's creation. It's huge. Just as George was about to taste his masterpiece, Mr. Herb came over. He was still angry. But before Mr. Herb could scold George, the crowd rushed in. I'd like a raspberry sundae, said a man. And I'll have a banana split, said another. Mr. Herb could hardly keep up. The orders kept pouring in. Finally, everyone was served. Thanks for all those customers, George, said Mr. Herb. You messed up my big order, but you sure made up for it. Just then, the man with the yellow hat came back. Have you finally decided what flavor you want, George? He sure did, said Mr. Herb. A little of everything. George looks very happy with his ice cream choice. The end. What a great story. George had a lot of fun at the ice cream shop, even though he did get into some trouble. And just like George had ice cream, we're going to head over to the DIY corner and make some of our very own ice cream. Come join me. Hi, thanks for joining me over in the DIY corner. Just like George had ice cream at the ice cream shop, we're going to have ice cream today too. Only we're not going to go anywhere to have it. We're going to have it right in our own homes and we're going to make it ourselves. So these are all ingredients that you probably have floating around the house. To make ice cream, you need sugar, vanilla, half and half or light cream or whole milk. I don't think skim milk would work very well. We need something that's a little bit fattier. So we're going to use some half and half today. We need a quart-sized plastic zippy bag. We need a gallon-sized bag about halfway full of ice cubes. And we need salt, but not the salt that you would put on tomatoes or a hamburger or French fries. We need something like rock salt. This happens to be ice cream salt, and you can buy it at the store. But if you have kosher salt at home, that works really well too. So let's see. I almost forgot maybe two of the most important things you need. A spoon. This is going to be very handy at the end. And a towel or some gloves, because when we make our ice cream, we're going to be shaking it in that bag of ice, and your hands are going to get pretty cold. So I'm going to put my towel to the side for now, and let's get started. So we're going to take our Ziploc quart-sized bag, and we're going to put right in 1 cup of half and half or light cream or whole milk. We're going to pour that right in. Now, if you wanted to, you could add some sort of chocolate sauce or chocolate chips or maybe some fruit, and you can make a flavored ice cream. But today, we're just going to do plain old vanilla. We're going to add half a teaspoon of vanilla. There we go. And you don't want to add too much because then it would be too strong. So we have that in there. You know what? I'm going to use my plastic spoon to help me with this. We want 2 tablespoons of sugar. So that equals about 3 plastic spoons. So we'll go 1. Shake that off. We'll go 2. And help me out with the last one. That's 3. All right. Put that off to the side. Hold on to that spoon. We'll need it later. So we're going to get most of that air out. We're going to seal it up, maybe give it a little squish. Make sure everything is nice and mixed in there. Then we're going to take our bag of ice. And we are going to add half a cup of that salt. Dig right in here and add half a cup. Now, it can be a little more, it can be a little less. Doesn't really matter. We're going to pour that right on top, and that's going to make that ice super cold. And we're going to put our plastic bag with our ice cream mixture right in there. This is where we're going to get a little bit chilly. We're going to seal that outside bag. We're going to take my towel here. I'm going to wrap it around, and hold on. Here we go. That's better. And we're going to shake and shake and shake and shake. The shaking can take several minutes, so make sure you have that towel or gloves to protect your hands. Keep shaking. Okay, every now and then to stop because we want to make sure that our ice cream is forming. So let's see how we're doing. I'm going to take that little bag out, open it up a little bit. Right now we have maybe a milkshake. We want ice cream though, so in it goes. And this might be a good time to get mom or dad or grandma or grandpa. Maybe you have one of those big kid brothers or sisters, and they can help you out with that shaking too. Here we go. You know what? I think it's time to check our ice cream again. Let's see. What? Teresa wishes she had brought some music with her. It'd be fun to kind of dance and shake. Let's see. I think we have ice cream. Let's see. I'm going to give my hands a little wipe. Perfect. Now, take my spoon. I'm going to give it a little stir. And I'm going to show you ice cream. It doesn't look like the ice cream we get in the store, but just as good. Maybe even better. I hope you enjoyed our DIY today. And thanks for tuning in to Fun Time with Miss Teresa. I'm gonna enjoy my ice cream. Bye.